Hello and welcome to another episode of Author Fan Face Off. You know how it works. We've got one great author, one big fan. We pick one book and we're going to find out who knows it better. I'm Steve Sheinkin and my co-host is, of course, the leaping librarian, Stacey Rattner.
Yeah!
And our author guest today, Jasmine Warga, with her new novel, A Rover's Story. Thanks for joining us today, Jasmine.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Yeah, this is cool. I always love books that have science and space in them. And this is not a spoiler to say this is about a Mars rover. It's kind of in the title. So, and then I read that you were briefly a science teacher. So is that where this idea sort of came from?
It really didn't come from being a science teacher, but I guess looking at the fact that lots of times I include science in my books, I suppose that was obviously influenced from that experience. But I was inspired while watching the launch of NASA's newest rover, Perseverance, in July 2020 with my kids, is when I first got the idea to want to write a rover story. Actually, it was my daughter who asked me if I thought that the rover was afraid to leave home. And I thought that was such an amazing question. And I couldn't let that go of wondering kind of where that line is, right, between artificial intelligence and emotional intelligence.
Yeah, what a smart question.
So I am happy to introduce Sydney, your challenger here. She is a sixth grader from Louisiana, and she is a super reader because she has won her school's reading challenge, which is to read all for 3 different challenges, and she's been the first one to finish for 2 years in a row.
Nice.
Did I get that right, Sydney?
Yes.
So I would be a little bit afraid because she sounds like a awesome contestant. So we're going to jump right in. And speaking of being a sixth grader, Sydney, a sixth grader from this state gives resolution, Res for short, its name.
Oh, Ohio.
Yes, there you go. Good. See, you got it. You got it. Jasmine, Res refers to humans by this term.
Hazmats, because of their hazmat suits that they wear in the laboratory.
Yeah. Awesome. See, you guys got it.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, after that first question, everybody kind of calmed down a little bit. That was actually that was kind of a hard first round. All right, Sydney. Res, I'm going to just refer to the rover as Res from now on, because that's what seems to be with other characters. You often hears Rania singing this song over the phone to her daughter, Sophie. What song is it?
The song is Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star.
Yes, very good. And then the rover starts to sing it too, did you picture them actually singing or did you just picture them saying it?
I think I did picture them actually singing in the book.
Interesting. I did too, and then I second guessed myself. I wasn't sure. If I'm speaking of things that rovers say, there's another rover, Jasmine, in a story called Journey. What is Journey's favorite expression?
Beeps and boops.
Yes, very good.
And if you listen to the audio, it's beeps and boops, okay, Sydney. Res is very worried about the danger of this type of storm on Mars.
He is very worried about dust storms.
Right. Awesome. Perfect. We'll take that. Yep. Okay. Jasmine, finish this joke by Xander. Why didn't the tree like checkers?
Oh, okay. Hold on. I have to get the punchline right because this is one that I mess up. Because was it chestnut?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome.
Okay. That is one of my husband's favorite dad jokes. But the funny thing is, when I first wrote it into the draft, I wrote he was a chess tree. And Greg was reading the draft for me. He's like, you got this joke wrong. You messed up the whole point of the joke, which is it's chestnut. And I was like, oh, okay. And that was corrected.
That's very good. I always like a dad joke and a chess joke all in one. Those are two. Score a lot of points with me. All right, Sydney, it's 3-3. We expected this. We knew you guys would be experts. But Sophie's dad is nervous, she says, When he's nervous, he bakes this type of cookie. In fact, he bakes 700 of them. What type of cookie?
So he made oatmeal chocolate chip cookie.
Wow.
I'm so impressed. I
Really are.
was still trying to pull that, so that's very impressive.
Yeah, you looked worried that I was going to ask you that instead. All right, Jasmine. What part of the mission do the hazmats call, quote, the 7 minutes of terror?
So that's the landing. That's when the rover has to land on Mars, and the communication link kind of disappears. So the rover's very much on his own for those 7 minutes.
And that would definitely be the time to be, when a rover would be scared if they're capable of feeling that. It's just an interesting thing to think about. How old was your daughter when she asked that question?
She was 3.
Wow.
Oh. Yeah, we like to start off, and we always forget because we're so excited to have us start, like to give a little summary of the story. But basically, it's from 2 point of views, from the rover and from Sophie, the little girl who grows up. I don't think that's a spoiler, but so in the beginning, she plays soccer, Sydney, and then she takes up this after school activity.
He wanted to be a writer or like a reporter at the school.
Perfect. Awesome. Yeah.
Okay.
Like I almost feel like you have the answers in front of you, and we know. And Jasmine, how long in months is Rez's space flight to Mars? How long does it take?
Oh goodness. It's like approximately 9 months, right? Is that right?
Oh, Sydney, go ahead, Sydney, for the steal.
So it is approximately 8 months.
Oh. It's actually 7 months.
You do say it could take longer depending on how far Earth and Mars are apart at any given times, but we're just quoting the text that says.
Yes, that is very fair. You can tell that some of these facts entered during research and have left my mind, apparently.
That's what I'm curious about. Like how much of this. I love learning new things in order to write about them. You don't have to be an expert on anything to write about it. You just have to be curious. And so there are a lot of Mars facts in here, like the moons of Mars. That was going to be another question. They have Mars has the tallest mountain.
Yeah.
And we could ask about that. So we knew we wanted to get in some Mars science, and that it was going to be hard to remember no matter what. But we have another question that's nothing to do with Mars, and this will be a bonus. So Sydney is definitely in the lead, but anything can still happen. I'm going to ask the bonus question, and just raise your hand if you think you know it. Now I'm going back to the very beginning when students from all over the country were asked to propose a name for the rover that became Resolution. Sophie suggested something very different. What name did Sophie suggest for the rover? Yeah, Sydney. I saw her hand first.
The name that Sophie suggested was Spicy Sparkle Dragon Blast.
Oh my God.
I'm so impressed. That is exactly right. I think I shouldn't say that you have the answer.
No, she got it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
How did that stick in your head so clearly? That's such a little tiny fact.
Well, I think while I was reading the book, I thought that since it was just a small detail in it, but it was just a big funny name, that it would be on this.
So smart. So smart.
Author fan face off, who will know more? Author fan face off, we're keeping score.